Hello, my name is Leah. Welcome back to my channel. I didn't realize we were like halfway through October already, and I don't really have any specific plans writing-wise for the rest of the year. That just on top of the fact that basically all of my writing goals for the year sort of went out the window whenever we moved. I need some direction for the end of the year in what I'm gonna be working on, so I thought it would be interesting to bring you along and sort of show you my thought process whenever it comes to planning my writing work. So obviously NaNoWriMo is coming up, November. That sort of takes out 1 month of work and sort of gives me an idea of what I want to be doing for that, because I didn't actually get to participate in NaNoWriMo last year and it made me so sad. Let's just jump right into my calendar. So I have some stuff in here already. Obviously we have like the holidays and stuff that just come standard in there. I hid all of my like events and things that I do in general in life because I wanted this to sort of be narrowed into the writing stuff and a little bit of the YouTube stuff as well. But I do have a couple different trips here which are going to be important in kind of deciding what I'm doing when, so I left those in as well. This is supposed to be right here. Next weekend, I am going back to Texas because a friend is having a baby shower, and I just wanted to have a little visit in general. And then this is our Thanksgiving trip, so with Cameron working remote now, that gave us a lot of flexibility with when we were able to book our flights, so we basically just picked whatever the cheapest days were surrounding Thanksgiving, and then he's gonna be able to work from my parents' house while we're there. So that's why it's such a long trip for Thanksgiving. Yes, so this is what we've got. Obviously, we know what's going on in November, so even though we're jumping ahead a little bit, let's go ahead and jump to NaNoWriMo. Ordinarily, I don't do things on weekends. I just like give myself that time off. We're usually doing stuff with friends or like doing work around the house. Saturdays have kind of become our let's just tackle a house project day. But because it's NaNoWriMo, I'm gonna make an exception for these 2 Saturdays. So first I need to like count the days that I'm actually going to be writing. So we've got this week. I'm not gonna be writing on any Sunday, basically. I know that about myself. And so I'm not gonna set myself up for failure by saying, just write 500 words. I don't do it. This Saturday, I'm not gonna be writing because we're gonna be traveling. And then this Thursday and Friday, we're gonna be with family like all day, and this Saturday. So I already know that these days are a wash, which means I really only have these 6 days. And this one even is a travel day. So I really only have these 5 days after once the whole trip starts. So that's 21 days. 50,000 divided by that is 2,380 words per day, which is a lot. But let's just go with that and then we can adjust from there. So if we're starting at 10,000 and I have to write 23,080 times 5 days for this week. Basically this week I'm working to get to that number. And I found that giving myself weekly goals in terms of word count has been really helpful for me because it allows me to sort of shift day by day. If I'm in the groove and I'm just totally in the zone, words are flying out, knowing that I have this big number to hit helps me stay motivated to keep writing. Whereas if I had like a set, okay, write 1,500 words today, I would hit that mark and be more likely to stop writing at that point. Versus the other days where I'm not super feeling motivated, I can give myself a specific number for that day, like just write 1,500 words and then you can call it quits. And then still be like working towards that big number, but also give myself a little bit of grace if it's not the exact 2,380 words that I'm supposed to be getting every single day. Jumping down here, I should be adding 14,280 words to my 22,000, which puts me at 36,280. So I'm gonna round that down to 36 just to have a nice even number. I don't like being that specific, but 280 words here or there isn't gonna make or break me. The next week we have 5 days to work with. So I should be at about 47,900. So we're gonna round that to 48. Remembering I started with 10,000. So really for my nano count, I'm at 38 right here. We already said we're not doing Thursday and Friday. So that's gonna be these days. which means I should be getting in about 7,140 plus my 48 should be putting me at about 55. And then finally, our last 2 days, if I have extra time on the 30th and I'm behind, that gives me a buffer day. And so here's where the math gets finicky and my rounding comes back to bite me in the butt. Technically, I need another 5,000 to get to 60K, which puts me at 2,500 on each of these days, which I just don't want to do. So we know we need to get to 60K here. In order to like mitigate that number, I'm basically just gonna add 1,000 to this week because I feel like that's the week where I'm most likely to be able to get it done. And then that changes this number, which puts me at doing 2,000 each of these days, which is a little bit more reasonable. And then again, I have my buffer day. Ideally, I am just pushing as hard as I can these first 3 weeks though, in order to give myself some leeway here, because Thanksgiving week, especially when I'm visiting family, is always what bites me in the butt when it comes to Nano. So now we have November planned. Let's jump back up to October. Next week, I already know that this day is gonna be dedicated to freelance work. So that's the other thing, is I very specifically don't have anything going on with that in November because, you know, I want to focus on NaNoWriMo, I want to focus on my book. So Monday is my last freelance day. And then also, I think probably on Friday, just so that I'm not like breaking up the flow of probably working on Preptober stuff the middle 3 days, I want to have a YouTube day. So that will give me time to get this vlog edited and then film this video in advance, get it edited and upload so that once November hits, I don't have to deal with anything. Which brings me to Preptober. I have enough little things that I want to do for Preptober that it doesn't really make sense for me to like put each one of those as an event in the calendar. So I'm just gonna put one big event called Preptober, and then we can come over here to notes and just sort of add the things that I want to accomplish. So step 1 is to review my Project Fire outline, because it has been a hot sec since I've looked at it in depth, and so I just want to refamiliarize myself with the story as it stands. I do have some final world building that I need to do. I'd like to make a map, even though in this type of story a map isn't super critical, mainly because the whole story sort of happens in one central location. We don't ever even really leave the capital city. There's not really any traveling that's happening, but I just sort of want to get a handle of the world itself so I can sort of flesh out more specifically some political dynamics when it comes to the different regions and who has what power. There's also a couple other sort of thematic elements that I want to nail down and how that relates to the world building itself. So I just want to marry those two things a little bit better and just give my society a bit more like specifics so that it can speak to those thematic elements that I'm wanting to explore. And then on those thematic elements, I really want to nail down what each character is in relation to that. So obviously I know my main character fairly well, but I want to get really specific with each side character and what their sort of arc is and what their arc says about the theme as well. So that's my main Preptober work, but that leaves me with the last 2, technically 3 days of Preptober. One thing that I would like to do is meal plan for November and meal prep. So this is something I'm gonna be trying this year. And I'm not gonna like schedule, okay, this meal on this day, like make or break, that's what's happening. But I just sort of wanna have a few easy meals in my pocket and any meals that I can make ahead of time, put in the freezer, and then all I have to do is just pop them in the oven. That's ideal NaNoWriMo prep right there. That's obviously not going to take me 2 whole days, but there is some like other businessy things that I want to get done that I know I'm not going to have time for in November. So that is my October and November. Now the question becomes, what the heck do I do in December? Which I feel like is always my question in December, especially after NaNoWriMo, because, you know, Nano is such a huge push that, you know, you want some off time, but at the same time I always feel guilty not if I like give myself time off after Nano, because A, I just had time off for Thanksgiving, even though it rarely feels like time off. And then B, I know Christmas is coming up too, so I'm kind of like, oh, well, I might as well just like push some more until I get to Christmas. That's just my brain. And maybe that's toxic productivity speaking, but that's just how my brain works. So I am going to leave the rest of this week blank, just because I probably am at least gonna need to give myself a day or two. If I wanna get a jump start on the stuff that I schedule for the last 4 weeks, then we can do that, we're good to go. What I do know is that I want to just go ahead and block this week off. It's the week of Christmas. We don't have travel plans right now, but we know we're spending it with Cameron's family. So we're probably gonna end up leaving Saturday. I don't know if it's gonna be the whole week or not, but I'm just gonna block the whole week off. And that's just gonna be for family time, rest time, reading, because I have been so bad at reading recently. I just need to fill the well, get some reading in, and like set aside time that is specifically for. That being said, let's just do some working backwards. I already have some videos that I know are happening right here, just because they're the typical end of year videos plus New Year goals stuff. This is a collab in process that I don't actually know when it's coming out, so I just like plopped it in December, but this may or may not be happening on this day, so absolutely no promises. So I'm just gonna ignore that one in terms of my plans, basically. But I know I need to film, edit, and upload all 3 of these videos, which means I'm probably just going to, well, I also need to do my 2023 business plan. We're gonna give these 2 days to YouTube, and that way I can film all 3 of these videos, get them all uploaded, edited, like everything, and they'll just be done. And then I'm probably gonna not schedule anything for this Friday, just because I'm gonna be packing, cleaning, prepping to leave. We're just gonna leave that empty. And then these 2 days, I'm gonna dedicate to me creating my 2023 business plan / goals, because that's all sort of wrapped in together, especially when you work for yourself, is your goals and your business plans sort of end up being the same thing, or at least for me that's how it is. Which leaves me with 2 weeks. I don't have any particular direction that I want to go after Project Fire is done. So my main 2 projects that I've been focusing on are Project Fire and Project Shadows. Project Shadows is in the query phase right now, so it's in limbo. You know, I've done what I can do for it. There's probably still work to be done in the future, but right now it's sort of like off my radar. Project Fire, I obviously just did in December. I will have just drafted the first draft, and I really don't like jumping into revisions so soon after finishing a draft. Ideally, I could start working on Project Fire again in January sometime, or even February. But these 2 weeks in December, I know I have to do something else. I have a few options. One of them is my middle grade project game. That one I think needs some work. Another option could be to brainstorm a new book. I have some other ideas floating around, you know, but none of them are formed enough to like call something, really. I really don't know what I want to work on here. I just know it's not going to be Project Fire, and it's probably going to have to do with brainstormy things. I think though that I'm going to leave that open for myself to decide whenever the time comes, and I'm just going to leave it as that. Work on the next book, brainstorm, just sort of like figure out a direction. And whether that's a new book or jumping back into Project Game, whatever December Leah is feeling like doing in the moment, that's what she can do. Because leaning into what I want to do in December is going to be much more, I think, time effective, just because December as a whole month always is just so sluggish to me. I either want to be working on something that I have a clear direction on, which I think is why I was able to get through my Project Shadows revisions so quickly last December, or I just want to be free to do whatever the heck I want to. And just knowing how this is working out, I'm gonna have to lean into the second one this December. But that is all I had for today. Let me know if you found this interesting, sort of seeing how I plan out my quarters. I wanted to do a bit of a different take on my quarterly planning videos. just because they're starting to feel like they're getting a bit repetitive for me at least. Let me know what you're gonna be working on for the rest of the year, if you know what you're gonna be working on, or if you're just gonna sort of ride the vibes. Let me know what your NaNoWriMo project is going to be if you're participating. I'm so excited to be doing it again this year. I was so sad to miss out last year. Anyways, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.